Hi, this video is for parents. I'm going to be talking about how to use ReadWell 2 with your child while we're learning at home. ReadWell 2 is just the continuation of ReadWell 1. It does get more challenging and the stories get more interesting, so that's a good thing. You have two books for ReadWell 2. You have the storybooks. This one has units 1, 2, and 3 in it. And you also have these kind of orangey yellow exercise books. This one is for units 1 through 7. As you go forward with the stories, like story unit 4 is actually like a real book. So that's kind of cool. Kids like these. They didn't have units written on them, so I've written them with a Sharpie. So this is unit 4. As you get a little farther, unit 12 is Dinosaurs Before Dark. So just so you know, some of the books are actually made by the publisher, and they look, like this. Others are more like, books you can buy at the store. Okay, so you're just like ReadWell 1. If you watch that video, you're always going to start with the exercise book. And I'm going to talk about Unit 1 today. I have 5 students starting Unit 1. So you're going to turn to the very first page of the exercise book. This is like the decoding book in ReadWell 1. And it says right here at the top, Unit 1 for use before Chapter 1. So that means Chapter 1 of this story. So at the top, your child is just going to practice these sounds. If they need help, it's probably been a while since they've practiced this. So, I would suggest seeing what they can do on their own, but if they need help, you can help them. But they just say as in end, Y says E as in baby, as in otter, I as in insect, I, a, h, ow. And then here, when anytime a part of a word is underlined, you're just going to have your child read that part first. It helps with breaking down the sounds in words. So they would just read this: desk, dusk, duck, muck, much. Okay, and then here's more practice in the middle with AI words, IGH words, short U, EE, and they've also learned that A also says as in ago, like these words. Ago, Maya, Benjamin, Thomas. So it also makes kind of the short U sound. Okay, and then you have more practice with words that they can sound out and read. They want to read the underlined part first and read the whole word. Right here, there's multisyllabic words. They're going to sound them out by syllable and then read them. Franklin, second. And then again, the tricky words are, in school we call them red words. They're words that cannot be sounded out phonetically. So students just have to memorize them or figure out a way to remember them. And I have some hints on how to do that I'll share in a different video. But tricky words, ReadWell uses that term for red words, or some people call them sight words, but they're words that cannot be phonetically sounded out. And then here at the bottom, they just have some more practice with multisyllabic words. ReadWell is really good. In the tiny print, they always kind of give the teacher directions on what to do with each section, if you want to refer to that. So this is to be used, like I said, it's before Chapter 1. So once your child reads this, and again, I would have them see what they can do and help them as needed, but see what they can do on their own. Then you're going to go to the book and we're in Unit 1, and you want to go to the beginning, Chapter 1. So here is the table of contents. The first unit is called Maya and Ben. So there's the table of contents. This is the table of contents for Unit 2 and 3, so we're just going to skip over that right now. And here's the beginning of Unit 1. There's little, in tiny print, there's little questions you can ask your child. What are the kids doing in the picture? What do you think the story might be about? The story is called A Perfect Year. What might your perfect year in school be like? What would have to happen for you to have a perfect year? Get them thinking. Okay, then there's vocabulary words. And on these, this is the font for the students to read. It's pretty normal size font. It's not big like the Readwell. And then there's examples. When you see it, it'll become clear. The kids can probably read all of this. They might need some help. Okay, and then you start with chapter 1. Again, there's little questions embedded throughout that you can ask your child as they're reading. But they're really reading the whole story to you. There's no parts in it where the teacher is actually reading the story. This is all read by the students. Okay, and then when you get to the end of chapter 1, you're going to go back to the exercise book and go to the next page, and right up here it tells you use before chapter 2. So again, you're going to go through this page similar to the way you did the other one, and then you'll read chapter 2 in the book, and then this next page says use before chapter 3, so you'll do this page and then go to chapter 3 in the book. Remember, it's a little confusing. We're still in Unit 1. This is not chapter 3, that's Unit 3. So we're still reading Maya and Ben, and chapter 3 has a little vocabulary before it starts. And there's chapter 3 called No Ordinary Room. And then chapter 4. Okay, and then again, you're just going to kind of go back and forth. Some of them, this one says to use before exercise 4B. So this is exercise 4B. The thing about these books, you cannot write in them. Even though they look like they're designed for students to write in them, we don't want you to write in them. If you do accidentally, it's okay, but just please don't write in them. But if they wanted to do this, and some of this is good stuff, they can always just write on a separate piece of paper. So here, this example, this lesson is taking pieces of sentences and putting them in order to make a sentence that makes sense. Most of the book is the decoding stuff. There's a few pages scattered throughout that are actually questions and things that students look like they can write in the book, but most of it is those decoding pages that you read before you read the chapters. So then, let's see here. Okay, then there's more decoding. You do this, and it says to use it before chapter 5. So then you go back to this and you read chapter 5. Okay, then you read this one. It says use before eel in the fish tank. And eel in the fish tank, I believe, is the last part of Unit 1. Yeah, it is. So what they're having you do when you finish the first unit, here's an opportunity to practice retelling the story, and then eel in the fish tank is really just kind of to read for fluency. So it's a short piece, and if your child is reading word for word, it's good to practice this a couple times and then try to read it with fluency and expression, like you're talking instead of choppy and piece by piece. Okay? You can even record them reading it, and sometimes they think that's fun. They can do it a little dramatically or whatever, if your child likes that. Okay, so then you turn the page, and now you're on Unit 2. And Unit 2 is called Mapping Our World. And again, same thing. You're going to start with a decoding book. Okay, and right up here you turn the page, it says Unit 2, and it tells you exactly when to use these pages. Okay, so that's it for Read Well 2. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, don't write in the books, but there are some exercises embedded in the decoding book if your child wants to do that. It's always good whenever you're reading with your child to talk about connections they might have to the story. This first story about Maya and Ben is about a boy who moves into a new school, and this girl Maya doesn't really like him, and then they end up becoming friends. So there's a lot of great opportunities for students to make connections with that book. Also talking about the important part of the story. What was the event that happened in the story that changed the story, that made it better or solved the problem. And in this story, one of the important events is when Maya realizes that this boy Ben, who she doesn't like, lives in her same apartment building, and he loves computers, and he's got all these really cool computers, and then they become friends. So the fact that she went to his apartment she went to pick up her brother, not knowing that Ben was there, that he even lived there. So if she'd never gone there, they might not have become friends, and the whole story would have been different. So that's also a good thing to talk about. And then, of course, like retelling the story with details, characters' names, important events, all of that stuff. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.